This is Nikki Daniels, and we have Kevin Locke with us. We're so happy he's been able to join us again, and this is a topic that is dear to, I think, everyone's heart, because music is something that touches you deeply in the heart. So our topic for today is music and Native American spirituality. So I hope everyone can hear us, because we're going to be playing some music, some Native American music, and Kevin is going to be presenting for us. This is a free service of the Wilmette Institute's course on Native American religion and spirituality, which started last month and is ongoing right now. Kevin really needs no introduction. His website is kevinlocke.com, and you can find more information about him there. But you probably will have seen him or heard him playing the flute or doing some hoop dancing. An interesting point here, I just want to point out that 80% of Kevin's presentations are performed through the educational system in the United States and shared with children of all ages in schools, community centers, and festivals. And that's internationally as well. So I don't want to take up too much time here. I'd like to hand over now to Kevin. Kevin, can we hand over to you?
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And I was just, I can't figure out how to control those the slides now. Oh, are you doing it or can I do it?
I think you're doing it, Kevin.
Am I doing it? Oh, okay. It's a little bit different from before, but let me see here. Oh, I think I am. All right. Okay. All right, everybody. Good afternoon or good day to everybody. I'm so glad to be here with the Wilmette Institute again. And I wanted to first of all say something, and I know there's been a lot of question about it. You know, a lot of people wonder now, what do you say? Do you say Native American? Do you say American Indian, and so on and so forth? And I think that that is really a clear answer. We can get a real clear answer on that, and that is that it all depends on what country you reside in. That's basically what it is. So, you know, every country in the Western Hemisphere made a different, the colonial powers made a different relationship with the indigenous people. So in every country you go to, the term is different. So if you go to like Suriname or you go to Guyana, you say Amerindian. If you go to Canada, depending upon the exact treaty relationship, you could say First Nation, you could say a status tribe, you could say Métis, you could say treaty, and it all depends on the exact political relationship that particular group made with the government of Canada. Here in the United States, Congress explicitly defined all of those terms. So if you say American Indian specifically is a legal term that refers to a member of a federally recognized tribe. Okay, so if you say Native American, again, it's a term defined by Congress. If you say Native American, you could mean a Polynesian from American Samoa. You could mean, or from Hawaii, indigenous Hawaiian, a Polynesian is a Native American. You could be referring to a Micronesian from Guam, Chamorro ethnicity. You could be referring to a member of a state recognized tribe, such there's several in Virginia. Where else? There's several, especially in the eastern part of the United States. You could be referring to somebody who self-identifies, like anybody who says like, well, my great-great-great-great-grandmother was part Cherokee, therefore I'm Native American. They're right. They could say that. They can self-identify as Native American. You could be referring to a member of the of Alaska Native. There now, as you know, in Alaska, Native Land Claims Settlement Act created a relationship between Alaska Natives and the U.S. And so you could be referring to an Alaska Native, or you could be referring to an American Indian. You could be referring to a member of a federally recognized tribe. So this term Native American is all encompassing. So it depends on exactly what you mean. You can use that word, and it depends on what country you're in. So that's why I like the generic term indigenous. Now that's off topic, but I just wanted to say that because there's been a lot of questions about that. But I'm really happy to do this, to be able to share with you a little bit about this particular webinar on music. And I wanted to share this quote here from Abdul Baha. And Nikki, can you read it? Because I can't see the whole thing. Wait, no, here.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll read it for you. Yeah.
Please.
The art of music is divine and effective. It is the food of the soul and spirit. Through the power and charm of music, the spirit of man is uplifted. It has wonderful sway and effect in the hearts of children, for their hearts are pure and melodies have great influence in them. The latent talents with which the hearts of these children are endowed will find expression through the medium of music. Therefore, you must exert yourselves to make them proficient. Teach them to sing with excellence and effect. It is incumbent upon each child to know something of music, for without knowledge of this art, the melodies of instrument and voice cannot be rightly enjoyed. Likewise, it is necessary that the schools teach it, in order that the souls and hearts of the pupils may become vivified and exhilarated, and their lives be brightened with enjoyment.
Oh, thank you so much. I love listening to your accent also. That's fantastic. And as we know, as an aside, that everybody on the planet, one of their basic portals or avenues through which they are introduced to language is through music. So basically all children everywhere are able to first acquire vocabulary, sentence structure, syntax, and idioms and richness of expression through music. So it's very, very foundational all over the world. And there's another quote here I'd like to share too, which is, if I can find it here, there's a quote from John F. Kennedy.
I'll find it.
Okay, thank you. I just can't. I'm just so technologically challenged. I just tell you, the quote from JFK. If you can just read that part, please.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
J.F. Kennedy knew natives were misunderstood.
Yeah.
Kennedy wrote the introduction for the American Heritage Book of Indians. In it, he said, "For a subject worked and reworked so often in novels, motion pictures, and television, American Indians remain probably the least understood and most misunderstood Americans of us all."
Yes, thank you so much. So this is something that the JFK wrote in 1961, and is probably more true today than in 1961. And can you read the next quote too? There's one. Oh wait, I see it. Okay, yeah, this is from Charles Alexander Eastman. Wait, now, okay, I went past it.
I'll go back.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this morning I was just scrolling back and forth, just having a great time, and oh boy, if I can do this, then I'm going to be really in good shape for the webinar. So as he says, the religion of the Indian is the last thing about him that the man of another race will ever understand. Well, the whole goal of this little seminar right here is to completely bypass these two quotes and to make things clear, transparent. And so what I'd like to do, my goal for this webinar here in the next remaining time, is to give a tutorial about the structure of especially the plains and much of the woodland style music. I want also, so we're going to do that by listening to some songs. I'd like to teach everybody a song, and I'd also like to give everybody a homework assignment in this webinar.
Yay!
But, what's that?
Yay! Yay for homework.
But first of all, what I'd like to do is just to give a little bit more background. The reason why I think that JFK made that statement, one of the reasons why is because, you know, it was kind of at the culmination or at the end of a long period, which even continued past JFK. But that's kind of like the breaking point where some of these oppressive policies began to be relaxed. As you know, the whole intent of the U.S. government was to usurp the lands and of the native people. This was done, you know, historically through papal bulls from the Pope and so on and so forth. And so the this resulted in this really a Holocaust or incredible genocide, and especially the U.S. Government the policy was basically extermination of the indigenous people. And then at a certain point, when the extermination was not feasible or practical, then and I think this is part of the seminar of the course now, is looking at the boarding school process, which was explicitly to kill the Indian and save the man. And at the same time as the boarding school policies were being enacted, there was this really huge legislative push to suppress and expunge and completely obliterate the traditional culture. And so all the forces of government were aimed at assimilation. So then what happened, I think, you know, like JFK aptly put it, was, you know, the American Indians at least understood more and most misunderstood Americans. So as a result of all these policies, and for the culture, the people to really survive, everything had to go underground. And so it's just now, like, I think it's just now starting to come back up. But I wanted to say that the most important aspect of American Indian culture, indigenous culture, is music. And oftentimes this is the least understood aspect of indigenous culture. You know, a lot of people go to museums, they see all these beautiful things, all the beautiful feather work and beadwork and quill work, and just all these beautiful things that they see in museums or wherever they see it. But the one thing that they don't really realize, that all of these beautiful things only take on meaning in the context of music. So music is really the foundational art in any indigenous community or indigenous traditional community in the Western Hemisphere. The most important person in that community is the person who knows the music, because nothing traditional can happen in that community without that music. That music is like the matrix. It's the foundation upon which all the other aspects of culture rest. I know what I'm saying is really provocative. It's really, but I just wanted to develop this theme. So, music is the most important of all the arts, first of all, and because of the federal policies, I think it's been really driven into the background. And so last week I was up there in close to Mandaree, North Dakota, which is a couple hours away from my place here, and I was in the neighboring town of Watford City, which is kind of in the heart of the Bakken. And I was telling those people there, you know, they kind of looked at me with incredulity, or anyway, they couldn't believe it. I was telling them that you know, it depends on what kind of music you like. Let's say you like rock and roll. If you like rock and roll, then your Mecca might be like Liverpool or maybe New York or something like that. Let's say that you're a blues aficionado. If you like the blues, then your Mecca would be like New Orleans, or you maybe go to Chicago. You set your sights on that. Let's say that you really like country music. Why then? Your Mecca, where you turn to, is going to be maybe Nashville. Or if you like bluegrass, then you're going to go out to Appalachia, maybe like, you know, like southwestern Virginia or West Virginia or somewhere in there. So in other words, any kind of a musical tradition that you like, you're going to probably turn towards some kind of an urban center somewhere. But in Indian country, the Mecca that we turn to, the places where music has really thrived, are the most geographically isolated places in North America. So let's say you really like, you like American Indian music, like the powwow music and the Northern Plains style. Well, then your Mecca might be Mandarin, North Dakota. I don't know how far they are from the nearest stoplight, or maybe White Shield, North Dakota, home of the Rickrod tribe, or maybe it's going to be out in Heart Butte, Montana, or it could be like Lodge Grass or Crow Agency, or maybe up there towards Thunderchild, Saskatchewan. So in other words, you have to go to the most isolated places in the country to find people who really kept those musical traditions. And I think that's partly because of the suppression. And so anyway, so this is a statement that I wanted to make. And music is important amongst all people, and especially it's important to understand the theme of indigenous spirituality, because music is really the vehicle through which these the provisions of the various covenants that the people have was conveyed intergenerationally. It was all carried forward through time through music. So music is really the mnemonic device, the device through which the memories are triggered. And music is also, I think of it like kind of like a magic carpet that's rolled out, that we are transported into those heavenly realms. I think a lot of people now are familiar with the some aspects of the indigenous music of Australia. And I think if I mention this word didgeridoo, a lot of people know what I'm talking about. It's that wind is kind of like a drone sound.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a drone sound. And so then when you think of that, when you really put that sound into your mind, and I didn't have any tape or audio queued up for that, but I think everybody can just imagine that, then doesn't that just transport you into kind of a different realm?
Yes.
And that realm is called dream time. I would think that's just some English word to describe maybe in some kind of Aboriginal Australian concept, but it's basically transporting us into that time where everything is enveloped in a condition of oneness. Everything spiritual and physical comes together. And so that and then if you go to Australia, if you're ever privileged to go amongst Aboriginal people, like traditional people, then you'll see that when they use that music, this is what really unifies and brings the people together. And it's exactly the same thing in cultures throughout the world, wherever you go, like especially traditional cultures. It's through that music that the people are able to really connect to this ethereal realm. And I like to make a little exaggeration, just make a point. I might exaggerate a little bit, but I look at so many people walking around, like I go to a city and everybody's got their little what they call them, earphones on, earbuds, and then everybody's kind of got their windows rolled up on their car, and they're kind of just get enveloped in all this music. And I always think that people, this is just my imagination, I think people, maybe they live in a stressful environment, and so they need to have some kind of release from this daily stress. And so they use music as an escape from their reality, see? But in indigenous or traditional communities throughout the world, we use music for the opposite reason, exact opposite reason. We use the music to connect with reality, to connect with that which is good and real, that which is true. We use the music to connect with the dreams of our ancestors, whatever they longed for, whatever they prayed for. That is no longer separated by the shrouds or mists of time, but that dream is brought right in front of us, and it's just like that magic carpet. We can ride on that dream. Maybe we feel like disconnected from our environment or whatever it is, and it's through music that we make that relationship. We connect with everything in the world surrounding us. Maybe we feel disconnected from like the spiritual realms, but all that comes together. Maybe the future is foreboding or fills us with anxiety, but through music we connect to that future. It all melds into one. And so this is really, really important if we want to understand indigenous spirituality. And there's another slide that I wanted to go to. That's the one with the thunders, the pictures of the thunder. If you can find that,
I'll find it.
Yeah, if you can find that. It's that's a good one right there. The one we got right there. In here he says, "Oh, that's a good one." Okay, so this is just a little selection from this book. It's a little curriculum book. I'm not trying to do a commercial plug here, but it's we're trying to introduce the. It's really a strategy for revitalizing Lakota language, but we want to get the flute music back. It really disappeared, so we want to revitalize that. But we put this little section in here to put everything into context about the significance of music, because especially with the Lakota culture, you know, the whole analogy or metaphor of spiritual renewal is invoked with the symbolism of springtime. So now we're outside today. It's, you know, really coming up into spring. This is the first hot day today, the first warm day. It was like in the 20s all last week, and everything was frosting. But now today, everything's warming up really good. We even had snow. I was up in out the other day, and we had snow still in the shelter belts. But anyway, so all this is kind of dissipated by the force of the thunder. So the thunders is conceived of as that power in the universe, especially at this latitude, through which, you know, that winter time is expunged. The winter time is driven away, the ice, the cold, the darkness, and this whole change occurs in the world. And as we know, in our reading of the Baha'i writings, there's basically two prevailing metaphors that are invoked in the revelation of Baha'u'llah. One of which is the ocean. There's something like 200 or 300 or more analogies or metaphors that invoke the ocean. Ocean of grace, ocean of utterance, ocean of forgiveness, ocean of light. And so you know what I'm talking about. And the other most invoked metaphor in the revelation is the springtime, that we're living in a divine springtime, a springtime that autumn shall never overtake. And this is such a wonderful metaphor, because this is exactly the metaphor that was invoked by the revelator who appeared amongst the Lakota, this woman, this beautiful woman who ushered in, who brought the covenant, brought the teachings, brought the golden rule. And when she came across the prairies to that camp, she sang that song. She sings Niya Taya Mawaniye Oyo Ya Dewa Imawanina O Taya Mawaniye Niya Taya Mawaniye Walutawa Awa Uwe. So she sang this, you know, as she was approaching. At first, it very faint, but then it became louder, and people could hear her singing, and she was. It was very mysterious, very cryptic lyrics, because she says, "Nia ta'iya mawani." She says, "With a visible breath I walk." She says, "Towards a nation I walk. With a visible voice I walk. Something ancient, something sacred, something red I bring," which is referring to the covenant. She's bringing this covenant, establishing the covenant. But this visible voice and the visible breath she's talking about is like the spiritual counterpart to the springtime that comes, you know, that invisible breath or wind that blows over the prairies and melts the snow and all this. So this is my own interpretation. She's referring to that darkness, the cold that shrouds and grips the heart of humanity, the collective heart of humanity, into all this dysfunction and the forces of irreligion. That this breath that she's referring to is that holy breath that dissipates that and brings all the appearances of spring, you know, those trees, the flowers, the fragrance, all these beautiful things that we associate with spring. But this is a condition that occurs in the collective heart, individual and collective heart of humanity. So then the whole revelation that she imparted was all revealed through music. She brought it through music. And so then this is why the people use music to sustain the spirit. And so this is why on this little graph, you can see a little the illustration here, you can see these 4 instruments that we use to create music. And you can see over here, you can see the drum, which it just has, bu means the sound. It actually means, it doesn't mean drum, it means the sound that the drum produces. So that's that thunderclap that occurs, and that like shakes the earth up, and it just kind of stirs everything up. And this is the call, or the summons, the clarion call for everything to quicken, to awaken, to begin to appear after this long dormant state. You can see here this chla. It doesn't mean rattle, but it just means the sound that the rattle makes. And the counterpart here would be the rain, like the sound of the rain, or maybe the hail when it hits. And so this is represents that water of life that comes down, and it, the earth is dry, and it kind of like purifies, and then it's that beautiful softener and that beautiful force that saturates into the earth and nourishes and brings up all that life, the water of life. They call that mini Wičhózani, water of life. And then here jo is not the flute, but it means the sound of the wind, or the sound of the flute, that particular sound, that force that accompanies the thunders, that like cleanses and purifies, and then breathes life into the creation, breathes life into this lifeless body of creation. And then this other one, this is the main one, the human voice, wichaho, or ho, refers to the sound of the human voice. And this is the 4th element that combines to create music. So the people use these forces, and they're the stewards, the guardians of it. I was years ago, I was down in Macy, Nebraska, and I heard an elder explain that this spirit of music was hovering over the earth, and the spirit of music was going all around the earth, looking for a people that could safeguard it and protect it and respect it. And the spirit of music then saw the Omaha. Well, it's a very ethnocentric story. It was down in Omaha tribe, but this spirit of music saw these Omaha people and saw that they were worthy to safeguard and be the stewards of this power of music. So it settled down there amongst the Omaha people. So the Omaha people think of themselves as the custodians or guardians of this power of music, because music is that power, that force that can sustain the human spirit and keep it alive. This is why in any traditional indigenous community in North America, if not the Western Hemisphere, it's the people who safeguard and hold that music are the most respected people in that community, the most important people, because without them, nothing happens. Nothing can happen. So with that, having said all that, I know that sounds kind of provocative maybe, but maybe from here we can, I want to just mention before we listen to one of these tracks that it's at first when you listen to traditional music, it may sound really strange. That's why I always tell people that, you can go all over the planet, you can go to the far reaches of the planet, but you're never going to find a culture or a people more exotic or more different from the like the dominant culture in the U.S. than the indigenous people here in this land. So you don't have to go to the far corners of the world. Just go out your back door. You're going to find the most different people on the planet from the dominant culture in the U.S. That's provocative, I know, but test me on it. See if I'm right or wrong on that. Anyway, before we go to one of these tracks, let's
Yes.
Oh wait, let me just set it up here. I want to okay, go ahead and play one. Go ahead and play it. Let's listen to maybe a minute or two of it, and then I'll break it down the next one.
Okay, Black Lodge, you're up there. Focus.
Pause it there, Nikki. Just pause it, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to break this down for everybody, you know, just so it's not mysterious, but essentially what we're listening to is a structure of music. These are in Lakota language, we call these Omaha Oloan. They're this is a style of music we actually got from the Omaha tribe back in the 1860s. That's a whole different story we won't go into at the moment. But anyway, it's a pattern of music that really swept all over North America. But the structure of it, there are formulaic rules for construction. First of all, I'll mention that when you listen to the songs, the songs start, they initiate on the highest note, and then it kind of cascades down. It's kind of like the rain or the water that comes down. You can look at it like a water descending upon a mountain, and then the water just kind of, maybe there's plateaus or there's different levels of that mountain, but it just kind of flows down so that at the end of that song will be basically at the lowest note or key of that particular composition. So now there's 4 parts of the song that we're going to break down, we're going to identify. Now the first part, we're going to call it the lead of the song. And that lead is sung by the lead singer. The lead singer, you get any group of singers there, and they'll usually identify, there'll be the lead singer there. And that can pass from one to the other, but who's ever starting that song off, they're basically leading that song. And so that lead singer will sing that short introductory section of the song. It's usually at the highest note of the song. It's a short introductory phrase, which is the lead singer sings solo. So that's the first part. Second part is all the singers now, they're gonna repeat that lead together. So that same introductory statement we're calling the lead, sung by the solo, all the singers now are going to sing that together. That's the second part. Now the third part of the song is, I'm going to call it the chorus, and that's the main part of the song. So it's gonna cascade down that chorus. It's all the way down to the lowest note of the song. And then the fourth part of the song is the repeat of the chorus. And so now we're going to listen to that. Nikki, let's listen to that and we'll identify it as we go. Start up where we left off there. If you can. I think you missed it, but keep going. Anyway, this is the chorus. Descending. Now here's the repeat of the chorus. One down. Now get the lead again up here. Solo. Lead of the lead. Here's the chorus. Okay, let's go to another song, Nikki. Just for practice, we'll go to the next track, whatever that track was. I think it was Cozad. Was it Cozad?
Okay, boy, it's gonna move along now.
Okay. We're just practicing now. We're gonna hear, this is Southern style now. This is from here's the lead. There. Repeat of the lead. Chorus. go. Lead. Repeatedly. Chorus. Okay, Nikki, that's good enough. We can keep that one down. Yeah, so I think everybody's getting the hang of it now. You basically using that. Does that sound clear, Nikki?
Yes, very clear. That's fascinating. I would never have been able to identify those 4 parts if you hadn't, explained it.
Yeah, I want to break it down now. Any kind of traditional music, you can pretty much break it down like that. We can go to a completely different genre of music now. There's that one. Let's try that one. It's called Holy Moments. Holy Moments. It's now this is a Native American church composition, and when we hear it, you're gonna. It's pretty much just the lead. There's just one lead singer, but we should be able to identify the different parts in here. Same thing with any kind of a traditional song, whether it's Smoke Dance from New York, Iroquois or whatever it is. You can break these songs down so it's comprehensible. Now, when you listen to this one, it's a recording called Holy Moments, and you're going to hear these people are going to do some harmonizing in here, and it's in the Navajo or Diné language. And this harmonizing was started up here in South Dakota back in the 20s down at Lake Andes and Greenwood on the Yankton Reservation. It kind of spread all over, so people use that style. But let's go ahead and listen to that, a little bit of that track on Holy Moments, and see if we can identify these parts here. Skip to the chorus here. Keep going. Gonna go back to the lead now. Skip to the chorus. Okay, Nikki, that's good enough. Let's do something different. So I think are you getting the hang of it now?
Oh yes.
Okay. Now we're going to learn a song, everybody. Okay, we're going to learn a song that's going to have these 4 parts. Okay, and this is the song that I taught to the Van Gilmer and the choir over at the. Well, I didn't go over there, but I just did it on Skype. Anyway, so we're going to do the song together. It's going to take a few minutes. We're going to do the different parts. We're going to do the chorus, and it's a prayer song. So if you can all see me, we'll do the signs so everybody can make this sign here. It's a one spiral up. It's Wakļáŋ. Wakļáŋ, and the next word is Tļáŋka. Okay, the next word is we're gonna reach up like this, see? Tļuŋkášila.
Cozad.
We're gonna go like this. All right, turn our hands, we're gonna go like this and just bring it down a little bit. Philámayaye. Okay, I'm gonna model it now, so it's gonna go like this. Wakļáŋ Tjanka Tļuŋkášila philámayaye. Now sing it. Wakļáŋ Tjanka Tļuŋkášila philámayaye. Good. And the next part, this is we're gonna put our hands like this, or bring it out like this, and we say Aŋpétu. Say that.
Aŋpétu.
Aŋpétu. Wakļáŋ mayák'u.
Mayák'u.
That you've given me, the holy day that you've given me. We give you thanks. Okay, I'm gonna model it now. Aŋpétu Wakļáŋ mayák'u philámayaye. Now try it. Aŋpétu Wakļáŋ mayák'u philámayaye. Very good. The next one we're going to do is we gesture to ourselves and it go like this. The word is Wičhózani. It means health. So we're putting to ourselves, we make the sign for strength. That means health, not only physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And the other words, you know. Okay, it's just going to be like this. I'll model it. Wičhózani wa mayák'u philámayaye. Philámayaye. Now sing it. Wičhózani wa mayák'u philámayaye. Philámayaye. So right now we're going to sing it all together. We're going to notice the parts. So I'm going to sing. We'll sing the lead, and then now I'm singing by myself. So we're going to skip the repeat of the lead, otherwise it would be there. Then we're going to do the first part of the chorus, or the chorus. We'll do the repeat of the chorus. Those four parts are going to be here. So everybody pay attention and sing with me.
Can you say the words again? Because I don't remember the words.
Okay, yeah, but just lip sync it then. And want everybody to sing good. Nikki, you especially sing good. If you can't sing good, just sing loud, okay? You got it? All right. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Wakļáŋ Tjanka Tļuŋkášila philámayaye. So we can repeat the chorus. Wakļáŋ Tjanka Tļuŋkášila philámayaye. Aŋpétu Wakļáŋ mayák'u philámayaye. Wičhózani wa mayák'u philámayaye. Philámayaye. Now repeat the chorus. Aŋpétu Wakļáŋ mayák'u philámayaye. Wičhózani wa mayák'u philámayaye. Philámayaye. Very good. Did you see the four parts there?
I feel it.
The four parts on that song is just, it says, Grandfather, Great Spirit, we give you thanks. We give you thanks for the blessings of this holy day that you've given to us, bestowed upon us. We give you thanks and gratitude for the blessings of health and well-being, like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, for these gifts of health that you've given to us. we offer thanks for all of this. So
Wonderful.
it's just a prayer song, but you see it follows the pattern. It's a formulaic pattern. So now that mystery, all those cobwebs and all that mystery, it's all gone now, and we can see clearly now. See, we can see clearly now, just like the Caribbean song says. And so this is, I pretty much fulfilled my goal, which was to give you a little background, teach about the structure. Wanted to teach everybody a song, and I want to give a homework assignment also to everybody. And what I want everybody to do now is I want everybody to listen to 10 songs. 10 songs. You can go to YouTube. You can go to YouTube and you can go to I'll list some singing groups, and you can also the singing groups you can go to be like maybe Red Bull, Black Lodge, Southern Thunder, Cozad singers. In fact, what I'll do is I'll write out a list. Okay, Nikki, I'll write out a list, and then
yes, we'll provide that after the webinar so that everyone can have the links.
We can do that, and also I'm gonna put I'll put some on the YouTube. You can see the singers, but it might be better. I'll look at a few selections of dancers too, and I'll send those links, and then I'll put 1 or 2 links on there. So then on the side, as you're going through YouTube, then you can click on those other links. So I want people to go through like 10 songs, and I want everybody to identify these 4 parts on those songs. I want everybody to look at the formula, look at the pattern, and also look at the pattern of the songs cascading down the scale. And I wanted to mention that a lot of people think that oh wow, they go to a powwow and think, oh wow, these are ancient songs. But actually, if you go to any powwow, especially around here, 90 to 95% of the songs you're going to hear are brand new.
Wow.
They're probably composed like within the year. There are some classic songs, classic tunes that have continuity along the generations and are regarded as such, as classics. But basically, all these groups of singers, these young singers, they're really on the go to continually compose new melodies. So it's like one of the areas of music in the world, I'd say, that is experiencing the most explosive compositional creativity. It's just like a renaissance.
So Kevin, are you saying that you don't have to be like an elder to be the lead singer?
No. In fact, it's, like this is some place where the young people really stand out because they've got that powerful voice, and so there's a lot. If you when we look some of the links that I'll send, it's kind of like an impetus through which you can do the homework assignment. Just notice the youthfulness and vitality of these singers, and remember that these are songs that were just composed. Probably, people are composing just left and right. It's just unbelievable. Yeah.
Okay, well, I have some questions of my own, and I'm going to invite the audience to type in the question box on the right. I see some questions coming up here. Let me say, thank you, Kevin. Singing the prayer song with you diminished the physical distance from you. We were side by side. Could you elaborate on or otherwise point me to information on the symbiosis of textiles, pottery, and tools with song? And this is from James.
Textiles, pottery, and tools. Well, this is really interesting because all around my place here, you can hardly step anywhere around here without stepping on pottery shards, because this is like the homeland of like 1,000 years of horticulture. People lived up along the northern or the upper Missouri here, and they had this intensive agriculture before all the dams came in and inundated all the bottomlands. And so people have made all this pottery, and you can see on this pottery shards all the beautiful designs, and these are all made by women. And if you look at these pottery shards, I have a whole bunch of them here that I like I say, you step everywhere you find them, and they're beautiful, intricate designs. And so these women, they created all this, and you can be assured that when they created all of this, just like as they had their crops, their corn, their beans, their squash, and the narratives, oral traditions are replete with that. Every time they would put in their fields and they'd watch them, they had all these songs, all the songs that they would sing for the everything that was growing. They had all these songs, for that the pottery. They cook with that, so that it's everything is around that fireplace. So everybody comes around the fire, and those moms, those grandmothers, as they're cooking, they're singing, they're talking, they're telling stories to the young people, so that every place you step around here on those shards, that's all music. It goes deep down in the soil here. I venture to say you can't step anywhere here in North America without stepping on this heritage. It goes way down. They say you have to go way down before you get down to the earth, because the whole top part is all people on this land, North America, right here where you guys are all living, right here. And so these are all people that had dreams, and all these dreams are conveyed through music. Same thing with all the textiles that people make, I don't know what they're, the primarily, except for like down in certain areas where they would weave things, like I suppose in Arizona, indigenous people, they did that. Most of the clothing, people use hides and everything. So those hides, that's all from that relationship that people have with those animals, whether it's a deer or a bison. All of that relationship is created with the music, and the same thing with the tools also. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So there's music connected to everything.
Okay, so someone is asking for the lyrics to the song you just taught us. I also want to have them, so I'll get them from you, and we can post that as well.
I'll write it all down. So
yes.
And,
thank you. And Trip, that was from Patricia. Trip says, hey Kevin, come to Desert Rose for a weekend of flute, drum, rattle, hoop, dance, song. Maybe we could even make our own flutes.
Anytime, just go on to my website there. It's all on there. We can set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And Jason is asking, would you please speak a little on dance and how it relates to music and spirituality?
Yeah. Now, of course, that powwow spirit, they always say that you go to a powwow and you've got good singers in there, and it just carries you away. I remember my uncle always used to say, that he says, well, we're a dancing people. He'd say, you look out here and you see we live in a world of movement. Everything has emotion, everything has a color, everything has a sound, everything has a spirit, a vitality, and a life, he says. So we're the same way. And actually in indigenous North American culture, dancing is not an option. It's not an optional activity. It's obligatory. It's mandatory. In other words, like if you, especially like in the Southwest and especially like in the Southeast, like people from South Carolina or further down, like Creeks or Choctaws or anything like that, you can't escape it. It's inescapable. If you have to get out and dance, that's the highest form of worship, is dancing. In one of those quotes, you can see that the one guy, I forget, is chased by bears. He says that if you want to pray, he says you can say your prayer, but it's not potent, it's not powerful enough. If you want to really make that prayer heard, you sing your prayer. And they say beyond that, if you want to really put a turbocharge in that prayer, you dance your prayer. You dance it. And so that's you put your whole being into that. But of course, dancing it's all on that magic carpet we're talking about. It's all on that music. So that's what that, my uncle always used to say, like, you go to a powwow with really good music, then maybe you felt depressed, or maybe you felt like hitting somebody, you kind of felt somehow, but you go in there and you feel that power of that music, and then all that that weight, that darkness, that burden is lifted, and you feel good. You just feel happy. You feel like connected to everybody. But that's that power of music. It creates that. See.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why. In indigenous North America, we safeguard music. We don't use it. It's a precious trust. So we're careful not to use it to like detour your thought or consciousness. You notice how in the dominant culture, so much music is about profanity. It's about steering people to the dark side. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so then this is what I was talking about back at the beginning. This, especially like the Omaha tribe, and many of them say that music is a Holy Spirit. It's so powerful that it found a home here in North America amongst the people. So that's our covenant, is to safeguard that power. You can see that. You look at any of these guys, who are powerful out in the world, these musicians, you see how much power they have to sway people this way or that way. It's really a sacred trust. The musicians have so much power, but they don't realize it. Maybe they're using it for material gain. But this is the covenant that God gave us here in North America, is to safeguard that power of music. You see what I'm saying?
Colette says, Kevin, your music is very evocative and meditative. Do you have translations into English of the lyrics of at least some of the songs on your CDs? And how can I find those?
Yeah, I've got a huge discography. I've been doing recordings for about 40 years. So go on to my website.
That's kevinlocke.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and the next question here is, when you play your flute, Kevin, do you also follow the 4 parts of the traditional songs? Is it songs that you learned from your elders, or do you improvise in the style that was taught to you, or is it a combination? That's from Christine.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. But basically, if you go onto the internet, you type in Native American flute, you're going to find thousands of recordings and sites and everything. But those are a modern flute that I think was invented around 1982 or somewhere in the 80s maybe. And I know the guy that invented that and everything. It's a very, very modern thing. But this Navajo man started recording on those Native American flutes, and it just saturated the market. They put them in all the national parks, Grand Canyons, everywhere you go, you're going to see that. But that is a very modern phenomenon. It has like zero connection to a North American musical aesthetic, the whole style of like improvisation. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just trying to throw that reality pie in your face, because that's not the kind of traditional music that existed on the flute, that tuning system. That's why we made this curriculum to bring that traditional tuning system back, which is a much better tuning system, much more versatile. On the traditional tuning system, you can get chromatic, diatonic, you can get several different pentatonic scales. I can go to any Baha'i summer school or wherever, and we'll make flutes. We'll learn all the Baha'i songs. I know there's no such thing as Baha'i music. We can teach you all that, teach you all these prayer songs, all that. We can do all that stuff. But I don't want to sidetrack too far away, but those traditional songs on the flute are like Valentine songs. Right. And they originate from like it's a whole different genre, so it doesn't really conform to the pattern that we just gave. That's more advanced. We can get into that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a comment and a question. Terrence says, the language is so unique. I often feel the words are sacred to the song and don't wish to mispronounce for fear of showing disrespect. I have a similar kind of trepidation when it came to, you teaching us that song. I didn't want to mispronounce the words. So that's just a comment. I don't know if you want to say anything about that to us too.
Well, I think it's okay. I think, this is part of being a world citizen. I think, the reason why I always teach songs wherever I go is because so oftentimes, and I've mentioned this before, is that we just experience world like vicariously, kind of like being in one of these little rides in Disney World where you just get in that little bubble and you go this way and that way. And that's the way a lot of these tours are packaged. You know, you go on a tour to an exotic land, see exotic people, but you're in your little bubble. But we have to get out of that bubble, and we have to begin to realize that these cultures, this world cultures that we're beginning to commingle with, and now we're living at a time of the ingathering of all the diverse kindreds of the human family. So we can't very well continue through life looking at everything as being extrinsic to our world. We have to begin to see each other as like legitimate co-heirs to all these riches. And one of the ways we can make these diverse cultures accessible is to actually internalize it. You know, like learn a song, learn a dance, learn the language. And languages are really important, even though we're moving towards universal language. Still, we live in a time where there's thousands of, like 7,000 languages. So each language has a unique set of phonemes. So it's not a bad thing for us to kind of experiment. You know, my wife is from Turkey, and no matter how hard she tries, there's some sounds in Turkish I cannot reproduce. I can't even hear them. But on the same side, you know, like there's a lot of phonemes in Lakota. You know, like around here, there's a lot of people when I was younger who couldn't speak English. You have to speak Lakota, but so it's just natural. So we hear it, and these phonemes are natural, but they're hard for other people who grow up with different set of phonemes to really replicate. But we have to try. You see, we have to. That's part of life. Right on.
Yes, and Sherry asks now, have you put the Baha'i prayers in this tradition? It feels like a great form to chant.
Oh, yeah, we can do that for sure. Yeah.
Have you done it? She's asking.
I've done a little bit of it, but there's only so much I can do. I'm just working overtime when I'm doing. Yeah.
Yes, and Colette says again, looking forward to you being at the Five Rivers Chautauqua powwow in Dayton, Ohio for the summer solstice, and looking forward to the workshop you will offer here as well. I've offered one to your cousin Guy on the equality of men and women.
All right, good. Yeah, I just was over there last week, you know. Yeah. I like it over there. I'd like to go back.
Okay, Chuck says, how can we distinguish between the artificial copies of musical instruments and songs that have been copied, flutes, drums, etc., with those that are being created by the true indigenous people?
Well, the flutes kind of died out. There's really nobody making the traditional flutes. There's one guy over here in Sisseton, South Dakota, but he's a little bit overworked. He's got to get some more Keebler elves on his staff to do that. But anyway, I'm trying to convince some of these other flute makers to start making the traditional tuning system. And, you know, there's a lot of really good access to drums. One thing I wanted to mention on the topic of drums, you know, a lot of people think like you go to any kind of gathering that they call the people making the music drummers. But I wanted to dispel that. There's no percussion tradition in North America. It doesn't exist traditionally. That, you know, like you go to Polynesia, they've got all the polyrhythms, and Africa, all the layers and layers and layers of complex rhythms, you know, percussion, but it doesn't exist here in North America. That's one of the things I was going to mention when the homework assignment. You can hear that the beats it's a steady beat. So all the rhythm is generated through the power of the vocal composition and the expression of that composition. So that's where everything is generated through that composition. See? So really, when you think of it, there's no such thing as a percussion tradition. Everything comes from the heart. Everything comes from the heart. It comes out, and that drum beat is just an extension of that voice. It's just kind of accentuating that rhythm, which is already in the vocal composition. You see what I'm saying? Now I lost the audio on you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'm back. Johnny says, hi there. Did you know Jim Pepper? And are there any other indigenous Americans who are excelling in the jazz arena?
Yeah, Jim Pepper was really a genius. You know, if you he did a lot of recordings. You know, he did this like Pepper's Powwow. If anybody can find Jim Pepper anywhere, that guy is amazing because he's like the only guy. Him and there's Lewis Ballard, and there's very few people who had the virtuosity or versatility to take this you know, the traditional indigenous North American musical aesthetics and then to express it in a modern music idiom, like a contemporary music idiom. Now I did that on this recording, and I think you can get it. It's called Midnight Strongheart. Midnight Strongheart. I don't even know if it's in print anymore, but it's what we did is that my mom said, son, all that music you're doing on the flute, that's really good, but you know, people are not getting it. When you go out there in the world, people don't understand what you're doing. You got to meet people halfway, she says. You got to kind of like give them the benefit of the doubt. And I said, well, how do you do that? She said, how about this? She said, take like a traditional song, native song, and then look at the lyrics, she said, and try and find something parallel or analogous in a modern music idiom, and then see what you can do. So that whole album of called Midnight Strongheart, it's got like 14 tracks. It's all like that. We just found the different genres to match up. So if you can go on, maybe go on Amazon or somewhere, you can get it. I think you can find it.
Okay, thank you.
And Jim Pepper did that. Jim Pepper did that. Go on maybe YouTube. You'll find Jim Pepper and Lewis Ballard too.
Lewis Ballard. Okay.
Yeah.
Sandra says, how does the hoop dancing relate to what you have taught us about music?
Oh, it relates totally. It's totally all one, because the hoop dance is all about this creating the spring. And just like we were saying at the beginning, you know, this music is all about sustaining that spring. It's like creating that springtime that autumn can never overtake. So it's just like, you know, the springtime is all here in North America in the past. You know, these holy souls who brought these teachings, they created the springtime in the heart of the people. So this music is hopefully taking us right up to the springtime now that Baha'u'llah has invited us all to be a part of now. So it's just all kind of coming right up in there like that. So you know, it all connects, you know, all the different dances and everything. Especially for me, the hoop dance, it's all about a metaphor for this creating springtime. And in the springtime, like what we can do is we invite everybody into that world, that springtime world, and so that we create that energy, that momentum, so that we don't have to leave it. We can stay inside that springtime, and that's so the world.
This is a kind of a spiritual, it's an analogy. It's not that it's only at certain times of year that you do this dance. It's not a seasonal thing.
No. This is why they especially use music throughout the winter, because otherwise, you know, like in the darkness and the cold, we tend to become depressed. Mm-hmm. That's why, you know, if you ever look at, you know, people who live in the Arctic.
Yes.
People who live in the Arctic, they've got the richest musical traditions, the richest storytelling traditions. That, you know, that's a whole different topic. Maybe we should look at that. Like you look at the, you know, like the music traditions of the Arctic. Like, you know, you look at the motion dancers from Barrow, from Iqaluit, from Nuuk, from all these places like that. It's so powerful because that's how they keep that spirit up, you know, that vision up through their music.
Mm-hmm. We have some more questions coming in, so let me get to the next one. Mojde wants to know where you got your beautiful T-shirt.
Oh, this is my wife's T-shirt. I took it off her back. See that?
Unity, the Baha'i faith.
Yeah, it's hers, but I stole it from her.
And Mojde is also asking us to post about the book that you mentioned earlier. So we'll get that information from you, and it will be posted on the Wilmette Institute website on our Deepen webinar webpage.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have Cloud Eagle Bear asking, how do you feel about our Carlos Nakai?
Oh, I know Carlos Nakai. I've known him for years and years. And I think, you know, what he's done is he created this whole movement, but he'll be the first one to tell you that that's not rooted in a indigenous North American musical aesthetic. It's totally a new aesthetic. It's disconnected. But, you know, people think that in their minds, they think it's connected because, you know, somehow you know, the way that they make the instrument, it is made the same. It's made the same, but it's the means for producing it is the same. But the note system is what's called, it's a minor pentatonic scale. I'm talking about the modern flutes. I call them Native American flutes. It's a minor pentatonic scale. It's called the melodic scale, and I differentiate. I call those flutes, Native American flutes. That's what I call them, and the traditional flutes I call indigenous North American flutes. So that's what I call them. So those are very different. You know, those are very different. Like I have like here's a flute that was made by my great grandfather right here, and he was born around 1850, 1840s. He made most of his flutes like in the probably 1880s, 1890s, and this is the original scale of the flute. They didn't play Native American flutes then. They played this scale, which is different. See, and this is the kind of flute they've been playing for I don't know how many generations. You see, that's the one. This is the kind of flute that I heard when I was younger. So that's what I'm trying to keep alive. Oh, I lost your audio again.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Whitney says the sound of multiple voices singing together in Native American music has always seemed to me distinctive and immediately recognizable, and also beautiful and emotional. Can you tell us about the harmonizing and qualities of voice that contribute to this distinctive sound?
Oh, that one song, remember that we played as on Holy Moments or Sacred Moments, something like that. Anyway, that's I mentioned it then too, that's a style of music that was developed here in South Dakota down on the Yankton Reservation, and it was, some people were just inspired to do that. I think actually they were inspired by because of their participation in singing in churches. You know, early on they created all these Dakota hymnals where they would sing church music in Dakota language, and then some of those clergymen were skilled musicians, and they taught people how to sing in harmony, 3/4 harmony. So then people started, like in the 20s, they started singing traditional music like that too. Right there.
So it's a very natural thing. I don't know if anyone has analyzed it in terms of the differences, and I don't know if we even want to go there, you know, whether they use thirds or fourths or fifths when they're harmonizing. Have you been classically trained too, Kevin?
No, not at all. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I wish I...
That's something to research then.
Yeah, there's so much to learn. That's right.
Yeah. Orville says, what, if any, are some of the parallels between traditional Native American spirituality and music and the Baha'i faith that stand out to you?
Well, I think one of the interesting things is that, you know, that I think that the revelation, like the revelation of Baha'u'llah, when it was revealed, I'm not sure. I have to find maybe one of our Persian scholars can clarify this, but I think that possibly it was intoned when the divine revelation was received. I'm not sure. I don't think it was delivered or was recited in a monotone. I think it was intoned. I think it was maybe chanted or something like this. The way it was revealed. So here again, it's like that. It's like that parallel right there. I think that the music is so foundational. So that might be one parallel right there. And I think that another thing is that this is, like I said before, this is a mnemonic device. So people are able to memorize these lengthy liturgies and sequences of music, because this is the human mind is better able to process things through music. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I'm pretty sure that this is really true. So this music will unlock in the mind, will unlock different neural pathways and it will bring the human spirit into a different level, neurologically speaking. So I think it's really a basis. It's a universalism for human beings to use music to invoke the holy, the sacred.
And here's Rob, our director. I was just about to call on you, Rob.
Yeah, I have to completely agree. Definitely agree. I mean, Baha'is are used to thinking of their scripture as being written, but before their scripture was written, it was chanted by Baha'u'llah, and before there was writing, the words were chanted. All of the Hindu texts were all chanted. They said that they heard them on the wind, and this is where scripture starts. Scripture starts with text that people remember. And how do people remember them? They remember it with the rhyme and with the meter, because then if they misremember it, they break the rhyme or they break the meter. So that's why so much sacred text is chanted and is sung, because this is the way you remember it. And of course, if you remember it, you have it. You don't even need to have it written down. You have it because it's inside you and it changes you. That's the power of this. And I wanted to thank you so much for singing us a song from the White Buffalo Calf Woman, because this is
sure, okay,
sacred. It seems to me this is sacred. I know that story. I've seen that story, and it's part of the sacred story of the White Buffalo Calf Woman. And I feel like to some extent you've given us a bit of the Lakota scripture and the revelation today as well.
It is, yeah, for sure. All right.
I have another parallel, because you mentioned about the young people who are singing and making these new songs. And I find also in the Baha'i communities, it's no longer singing the old songs. Sometimes we do, but there are younger Baha'is who are coming in and making new songs from the writings, the prayers, and every time I go to a meeting, I learn a new song.
It's fantastic. I know. More power to that.
Sherry asked, can we hear the flute notes? She wants you to play a little bit of that flute. I guess that your grandfather?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can. Yeah, let's see here. I don't play it too much. I kind of retired it. But, because like I say, it's this is about 130, 140 years old, I think, this flute. Soyo kama hekiwe ne wayana ne nigwe na tawena penaya soyo kama hekiwe ne wayana ne ay kanaya pena kiwaya pamoyo ne kiwi wawaya sene mawena kiwi hawaye ne nigwe nata wenaya penaya ya soyo akama he kiwi ne waya naya. So you can see it's the same song that you the everything originates, like I said, as a vocal composition. Then when you play the flute, you just exactly replicate it. But with the flute, you add a whole different dimension, because with the flute, you can actually put like ornamentation, grace notes, and then you listen to the birds. Like in the spring, you can incorporate some of those kind of like intonations inside the expression of the flute. So it adds a whole different dimension to the song. See?
Wow.
Yeah.
So music, one could expect music from different areas. You talked about the different indigenous peoples of the planet. You would expect their music to incorporate elements of the different kinds of birds where they live.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to make a comment about the opening singer and then the other singers repeating it. Because I remember once I was studying a little bit about church music hundreds of years ago, like in the colonial period of time, before they had hymn books in the churches. And it was very common they did what they called lining out, where one person would sing the first line and then everyone else would sing it, because it was the way, without books, people weren't always sure what it was they were going to sing. So someone would sing the first line, then everyone would sing the next line, then someone would sing the next line, and then everyone would sing it. And you also see this in the pattern of many spirituals. The opening long line is sung, and then it's repeated by everybody. And it makes sense when you don't have books.
Yeah.
To do it that way.
Yeah.
Cloud asks, what type of wood is your grandfather's flute made from?
It's made from cedar. Yeah. That's the kind of the preferred wood. I think it has some kind of like properties that create a mellow sound, a good sound, rich sound. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I see any more questions. Trying to look through and see if I see any more additional ones coming in. I've really enjoyed this. I hope that people will go and do the homework, and we will post all the things we promised to on our website on the Deepen. Just go to the website in a couple of days and look for the Deepen tab on the top right, and you'll be able to see that. Thank you so much.
Do that homework. Do the homework, because it's a whole universe that I'm just encourage people to expose themselves to. I wanted to just say this, Nikki, that music is not universal. It's not a universal language. We have to. It's just like a radio station. So we can get all these signals, but unless we can kind of attune our ears to it, we can't appreciate it. So that's why I say living here in North America, this whole everything was suppressed so much. So then I think it's not a bad thing for people living here in North America to expose themselves to the foundational culture here. And I think music is a great way. So this is why I give people this assignment. Take that time. It's going to be like maybe 30 or 40 minutes of your time to listen to 10 songs, pick up that structure, And I'll give some links here too, so that people can refer to those links. How about that?
I found the structure very interesting because, you know, in Western music, you find you have rising and falling and rising and falling all the time. It's never, you know, in one direction. And
Right.
if it starts low and then goes up, the high note would be probably nearer the end. So this structure is very interesting, and it almost, you know, you talked about revelation and revelation being, you know, passed down to us through the woman that you mentioned in the indigenous tradition and through Baha'u'llah and so on. And so it's as if that structure is reminiscent of the coming down to us of the wisdom and the knowledge and the strength.
Exactly. That's what they say, is that the music represents that flow from a heavenly source down to earth, coming down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again so much, Kevin. I know we'll be in touch. And the next time now, we're going to move up to the next stage and we're going to do the dancing, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for coming.
All right,
See
thank
you at
you.
our next time.
All right,
Thanks, Whitney. Bye-bye.
Bye.